I discovered that my wife had been cheating on me with my brother. I divorced her and cut off all contact with my toxic family. Years later, things took a turn. I've been married to my wife, Rachel, 32F, for 6 years. We have a strong relationship, just the usual ups and downs that any couple faces, but we've grown from them and share a loving bond. Everything was going well until about 8 months ago when my brother, Sam, 28M, moved back to our hometown. Sam had been living in Florida since he was 18. His long-term girlfriend broke up with him and moved to a new city, leaving him with nothing. The real reason behind their breakup is still mostly unknown. When he returned, he told us she had been cheating on him with women. I didn't know her well, but that story seemed unlikely. I had only met her 3 times because Sam would usually only visit home for Christmas, staying for just 3 or 4 days. She had come with him twice during their 5-year relationship, and the only other time I met her was 3 years ago when Rachel and I visited them for a day during our vacation. She never struck me as someone who would lead a double life and suddenly abandon Sam. I tried to contact her once, but I was blocked, so I let it go. Sam moved back in with our parents, Greg, 55M, and Jamie, 56F. For the first month, he struggled to find a job. I suggested that Rachel might be able to help since she holds a high position at her company and could have some influence. She helped him, and he managed to get a job in her department, which was in his field. For some context, my brother and I have never been close. He was always the golden child, at least in our dad's eyes, and our mom never stood up to him. It wasn't something obvious, just a lot of little things. For example, when we turned 16, we both got cars, but I received an 8-year-old Dodge Neon while he got a 2-year-old Mitsubishi Eclipse. His sports training, uniforms, and competitions cost thousands of dollars over the years. Some of those competitions were 6 or 7 hours away, and my parents never hesitated to pay. Meanwhile, when I asked for $50 to attend a volleyball or basketball camp at the local college, they gave it to me, but they acted like I was asking for my own personal stadium. What frustrated me the most was when I was 17, I lost track of time while out with my girlfriend and came home 15 minutes late. My parents took my car away for a whole month. The next year, Sam came home 2 hours past curfew, smelling like marijuana, and all he got was a stern lecture. So, when he left for college and decided to stay in Florida, I wasn't exactly upset. Despite all of this, when he moved back, he started spending more and more time at our house. At first, I thought it was nice. Maybe he was trying to build a better relationship with me. But then I noticed that he and Rachel were getting a little too comfortable with each other. They would have long conversations about anything and everything. They started developing inside jokes, and whenever I tried to join in, they would say, "Oh, it's just a work thing." When I asked Rachel about it, she said they just had a lot in common and were working on several projects together. The first major red flag was when I started coming home from work and finding Sam already there. Rachel and I have different work schedules. She works from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., while I work from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sam was at our house frequently in the evenings, and when I asked why, the answer was always, "We had some work stuff to do." 2 months ago, I noticed something that made me question my own sanity. I always make the bed before leaving for work, and I arrange the pillows in a certain way. The open sides of the pillowcases always face the edge of the bed. That day, Sam had been over. We all had dinner, and then he went back to my parents' house. But when Rachel and I got into bed, I noticed that 2 of the pillows had been flipped, with the open sides facing inward. I asked Rachel if she had been in bed during the day. She looked a little startled, but said, "No, why?" I told her the bed wasn't how I had left it. She insisted I must have been mistaken because no one had been in the bed. I secretly went through her phone and laptop, but found nothing. Then again, they worked together 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and spent time together after work. So why would they need to text? I felt like I was going crazy. 2 weeks ago, my parents invited us over for dinner. Everything was fine until I saw something that shook me. Rachel was simply walking by when Sam lightly grabbed her arm. She turned toward him, and he whispered something. Then, for a brief moment, they touched foreheads. It only lasted a second. Rachel quickly straightened up and walked away. Sam just looked at me, smiled, and went back to what he was doing. I'm not stupid. I know this is a mountain of red flags. I just don't want to believe it. I have been in love with my wife since I was 21. I planned a weekend getaway to the city, hoping to ask Rachel about everything there. I truly wished my suspicions were wrong. Update: you were all right. My world has been shattered. Our weekend started off well. Friday night was amazing. We had drinks, danced, and shared an intimate moment. The next day, we had more plans, and I almost decided not to bring anything up. I convinced myself that she couldn't possibly be cheating on me with him while still being with me like this. But I was so wrong. Just as we were getting ready to start our Saturday, I looked at her and directly asked if she was having an affair with my brother. She teared up and admitted it. Yes, she was. My heart sank. I felt completely crushed. I asked her why. She said she was sorry and never meant for it to happen. They had just clicked, and before she knew it, they were kissing, and then more. I asked if she had been sleeping with him in our bed before I got home from work. She couldn't even look at me. She just turned her head in shame. That was it. I walked out with nothing but my purse and drove home without her. She got an Uber and showed up a few hours later with the rest of my things. She tried to apologize, but I was too devastated to respond. I sat there, crying, as she packed a bag and left for a hotel. The next day, I told my parents. Turns out, they already knew. They said they were sorry about what happened and mentioned that Sam had left the night before. Apparently, he wouldn't be back for a few days. I was sure he had gone to be with Rachel. That was 3 months ago. Our divorce is nearly finalized. Rachel quickly found an apartment, and Sam moved in with her. I only talk to her when it's necessary for the divorce. At first, she said I could keep the house and savings. I think guilt made her say that. But after a few days, she changed her mind and insisted we split the house. I knew that was Sam whispering in her ear. Luckily, I had already moved all the money into a new account, so there was no fight over that. Just like that, 9 years of my life were gone. Rachel has no idea what she's getting herself into. Sam is a narcissist. He'll use her and toss her aside when he gets bored. Sam has been cruel throughout all of this. A few days after I found out about them, he tagged me in a Facebook post, a selfie of him and Rachel, with her kissing his cheek. The caption read, "Feeling loved, red heart." It was disgusting. I logged out of my account and deleted the app from my phone. About an hour later, he texted me. "Sorry, bro. Didn't mean to tag you. No hard feelings. Hope we can still be close. You'll meet your soulmate someday, too." I blocked him. Blocked him on everything I could think of. My parents weren't any better. At first, they acted sympathetic. But when I told them I was cutting off contact with Sam and Rachel, my mother looked at me and said, "I'm sorry this happened. It shouldn't have happened this way, but your brother deserves to be happy too. You'll meet someone, and then we can all move past this." I was furious. I told her what Sam had posted and the message he sent me. She just shook her head and said, "Well, you shouldn't be on that stuff anyway." My father? He said absolutely nothing. Just sat there. I asked him once what he thought, and all he said was, "I agree with your mother." Then he walked out of the room. That was it for me. I decided to cut them off completely. The house is almost sold, and I'm moving to a different state. I haven't told them where or when. I'm just done with all of them. I wish them all the worst. Update: 4 years later. Hey, everyone. I know it's been 4 years since my last update, but something major just happened. First, a little update about me. I'm recently engaged. It took a lot of therapy to get to this point. At first, I tried dating right after settling down in Minnesota. My first date was okay, then my second date showed me just how much of an insufferable person she was. After that, I swore off women completely. That's when I started therapy, to finally process the betrayal by my wife and brother, as well as the abandonment by my parents. It was a tough year, but it helped. Then, I met Emily, 37F. Yes, she has the same first name as my mom, LOL. But Emily is amazing. She's a chef, and she and her twin sister, Emma, own a restaurant and bar that's doing really well. I'm incredibly excited to start my future with her. But now, let me tell you about the audacity my family had. About 9 months after I left, I was still completely no contact. I never told them where I moved. Only a few close friends and cousins knew. One day, I came home and found a wedding invitation in the mail. It was from Rachel and Sam. The invitation had a disgusting picture of them hugging in a sunflower field. And if that wasn't bad enough, there was a letter from my parents. It basically said, "You need to forgive and move on. We know things didn't go perfectly, but we are a family and families work through their problems." They even claimed that Sam wanted me to be a groomsman, just like he had been for my wedding.
What the
Actual.
F?
That letter reopened so many old wounds. At the time, my therapist got a lot more business from me because of it. I found the whole situation hilarious at first, but then not so much. I didn't respond to the wedding invitation or my parents' letter. Instead, I focused on figuring out which extended family member had leaked my address to my ex-family, and I cut them off, too. That brings us to the most recent drama. Last week, of all people, Rachel showed up at my apartment. Emily and I don't live together yet, but that will be changing soon. Rachel looked good. Too good. Like she had gone out of her way to make herself look her best before showing up. I opened the door and asked, "What do you want?" She sighed and said, "I just want to talk. I'm so sorry for what I did. Sam and I are divorcing. I found out he was unfaithful our entire marriage."
Surprise, surprise.
"I don't expect you to take me back, but I think we should talk and get some closure for both of our sakes." I blinked at her.
Twice.
She had completely lost her mind. I looked her straight in the eye and said,
No.
"You get no closure. You made your bed. Did you really think that golden hoo-ha that's had more visitors than the holiday and was suddenly going to put up a no vacancy sign just because you put a ring on it? You're even dumber than I thought. I forgive nothing. I want nothing from you. I don't care. I'm better off now, and that will always be the case. You can go to hell." Then I turned around, walked back into my apartment, and locked the door behind me. The moment I shut the door, I called my landlord. He's the sweetest old man and has become a good friend over the past 4 years.
He knows all about my past marriage.
Rachel was still lingering outside in the hallway, but a few minutes later, his 2 nieces, who helped maintain the apartment complex, showed up. They let Rachel know she was not welcome and was now on a banned list. If she ever came back, the police would be called for trespassing. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. I have a pretty easy 9 to 5 job now, which allows me to spend a lot of evenings at the restaurant when Emily is managing. I don't get in the way, just hang out, enjoy some downtime, and catch a few moments with her when she's free. Over time, I've become close with a lot of the staff, many of whom are Emily and Emma's family. It's the kind of family environment I always wished I had. The next night, I was at the restaurant as usual when Rachel walked in. She didn't just walk in, she came and sat at my table. It was a slow Tuesday, so Emily immediately noticed and came over to check on me. She recognized Rachel from the photos I had shown her. Rachel stuck her hand out to Emily. Emily just stared at it before looking at me and asking, "Want me to kick her out?" I shook my head. "Not yet. I've got a question or two." Rachel perked up like she was winning something. "What a tool." I asked, "So, what exactly happened between you and Sam?" I'll admit, it was pure morbid curiosity. She sighed and told us he had been cheating with at least 2 married women. Old habits die hard, I guess. This was 2 years in. "It was a tough time for me," she said, playing the victim. I rolled my eyes. "You're not that dumb, though. Did you protect yourself? Or did he take half of everything?" Rachel smirked. "I stuck it out for almost another year, so I could stash away savings and sell off some assets. In the end, he got only a fraction of what he would have." I nodded, satisfied. "And what happened to him?"
I asked. She sighed.
"He had to move back in with your parents. Again." That was the answer I was looking for. "Good. You can go now." I turned to Emily. "You heard him. Out of my restaurant."
Rachel tried to protest.
"But no, I want to." I cut her off.
No.
No forgiveness, no closure. I just wanted to know my loser brother was back living at home. Now, get out." Emily stood up and pointed at the door. Rachel glanced around and saw the bartender and two waitstaff members glaring at her. Realizing she had no support, she tucked her tail and turned toward the door. Emily added, "And if you ever come back." Rachel quickly interjected, Yeah, I know."
Cops. Trespassing.
Got it. After she left, nearly everyone in the restaurant came over to check on me. It was both comforting and slightly embarrassing. Later that night, my future in-laws, who I absolutely adore, called me. They demanded that I stay with Emily for the next few days, just to be safe. It was really sweet. I've never had a family look after me like this before. I haven't heard from Rachel since. Hopefully, I never will. Update. Hey, everyone. I didn't think I'd ever have another update, but here we are. First, a little about me. I'm now 41 years old and a father of two, a 6-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old daughter. Emily and I are doing great. I now work part-time as an office manager for the restaurants while also being a semi-stay-at-home dad. 3 years ago, Emily's cousin bought into the business, and we opened a second location. It's been a lot more work, but with all three of them involved in both locations, things have been a success. Plus, it allows them all to have some personal time. Funny enough, I'm pretty sure I got Emily pregnant while staying with her after my last update, when her parents insisted I stay over for safety. They now joke that they always wanted to be grandparents and that it was all part of their master plan. Now, on to the latest drama. After Rachel tracked me down, I figured it was only a matter of time before my parents or Sam showed up. It didn't happen right away. I eventually relaxed, feeling secure with my support system, and even rejoined social media. I remained no contact with most of my family, including extended relatives. I wasn't naive. I knew that if they really wanted to find me, they could. It wasn't until after our first daughter was born that I got my first message. It was from my dad. His message contained a half-hearted apology, something about forgiveness, and then he inquired about his granddaughter. At first, I was just going to block him. But the implication that my child was his grandchild? That I found insulting. So I replied, "You don't have any grandchildren. I am not your son, which means my children have no relation to you. If you want grandkids, maybe you should encourage Sam to do what he does best." Then I blocked him. Of course, he didn't take the hint. He made new accounts and kept trying to contact me for a while, but I just ignored or deleted every request and message. That brings me to the recent drama. I started getting bombarded with messages from my parents, requests, emails, all of it. The usual sob story about how they were missing out on their grandkids' lives and how they wanted to make amends. I didn't care. I had no intention of ever including them in my life again. Then, something unexpected happened. Sam started reaching out to me. At first, he didn't say much, just that he really wanted to talk. After 3 weeks of him relentlessly messaging me, I agreed to a Zoom meeting. Just me. No kids. The call started, and predictably, my parents immediately began asking to see their grandchildren. I shut that down fast. "That's never going to happen," I said. "They already have 3 grandparents. Emily's mom, dad, and grandma. That's it." I started getting the feeling that this wasn't actually about the kids. Sam looked terrible, worn out, sickly. My parents looked older, more tired than I remembered. Then they started apologizing. Even Sam. He actually said he was wrong for what he did, that he regretted everything and wished he could have his brother back. That was laughable. Then my dad jumped in with his usual Family Matters speech, talking about how we should look out for each other and forgive the past. When he finally finished, I stared at them and said, "Is that all? I'm going to go now." That's when they panicked. They yelled for me to wait, and suddenly, the real reason for this reunion came out. Apparently, Sam had been dealing with kidney failure for the past couple of years. He needed a transplant, and fast. That's why they had been so persistent about getting in touch. Because a family member is the most likely match. I stared at them for a second before asking directly, "So, this is why you're calling me? You want me to save him? My wife wasn't enough. Now he needs a body part for me too." That's when my dad snapped. "Stop being like this. All of that was a long time ago." His voice cracked. He actually started crying as he continued. I get it, you hate us. But he's going to die if he doesn't get a transplant soon. Is that what you want? I know you think he wronged you in the worst way, but please, just this once, can we set that aside? I sat there, silent. I wanted to see if they had anything else to say. Then my mom finally spoke up. Look, we're sorry for everything that happened, but we have some serious problems. Between his medical bills and him not being able to work, your dad and I are struggling. We're getting older, and we have our own issues. We need you to come back to Missouri. See if you're a match. And we could also really use some help. We might lose the house. I couldn't help myself. So you need my kidney, and my money? Don't put it like that, my mom protested. Then Sam, weak and desperate, chimed in. Please, just come home. I need my big brother. I don't want to die. Just come see if you're a match. If you're not, we'll never contact you again. I told them I needed to think about it, do some research, and that I would give them my answer the next day. After ending the call, I went to speak with my wife. She told me she supported me 100%, no matter what I decided. Then she asked if we should travel as a family, or if she should come with me. I said no to both. I was going alone. I informed my former family that I would get tested in Minnesota, and if I was a match, then we could talk about everything else. A week later, the results came in. Sam and I were a perfect match. I agreed to return to St. Charles. By the time I arrived, Sam's condition had worsened, and he had to be admitted to the hospital. In a way, this worked out for me. It got everyone off my back about meeting for dinner. I had no intention of doing anything social with these people, especially since, whenever my parents had a free minute, they would bring up their financial struggles and ask if I had thought about helping them get caught up. They managed to stabilize Sam, and I met with the doctors handling the transplant. They started explaining the entire process, and I told them I wanted to have this conversation with everyone in the room. So, we all went to Sam's hospital room. My parents were already there. The doctor began explaining the situation. Sam had maybe 6 months left without a transplant. They went over the entire process and emphasized how perfect of a match I was. Finding another donor with this level of compatibility would be nearly impossible. The sooner we scheduled the surgery, the better. I walked over to Sam, took his hand, and looked into his big brown eyes. Then I said, "Did you hear that? I'm a perfect match. Essentially, I'm the only person who can save you, and I'm not going to." His eyes widened, and I continued. Asterisk, you are the most vile, narcissistic piece of gutter trash I have ever known. I only came here so you would understand this. The one person who could keep you alive is the one person you have wronged the most. And now, you're paying for that with your life. You're going to die. You should make peace with that. Asterisk. Sam burst into tears. My parents lunged at me, furious, screaming at me. The doctor and nurse stood there, completely shocked. I turned to my parents and said, "Don't even talk to me. And don't you dare ever ask me for anything again. The only money I would ever spend on you would be for your funeral, under the condition that you are cremated and your ashes released to me, at which point I will promptly dump your remains into the filthiest toilet I can find." Finished, I turned around and walked out of that room. I never looked back. Now I'm home, my real home, with my real family, and I couldn't be happier.